But the banks aren't necessarily the biggest problem, but maybe they are. Listen to this. So yeah, they're coming out with this new global Unicoin. Like this word coin, it used to be coin was just a simple thing. It's the coin's percent of your dollar. It's in your pocket, but now coin is anything. Everything and anything coin. Global coin now they're coming out with, but listen to the rest of it. Hey, welcome back. Frank and Angie's Retire Early Lifestyle. World travelers, homesteaders for over a decade in USA. Retire Early Lifestyle for over 3 decades. Talking about all things that affect our retire early lifestyle. But I have several things to talk to you about. I call them whoppers because, well, they're whoppers. Before we get to the whoppers though, this is a whopper in and of itself. Before we get to the whoppers though, this is a whopper in and of itself. Listen to this. We just got a message from this platform telling us that in order to not have our content restricted from being promoted, we should double check our content. Now, you might think if you're new to the channel, well, what, you know, don't you know the rules? Yeah, we know the rules. We keep the rules too. We're very careful. We know all the rules. We've read all the rules. We've had videos banned. Initially, it was where the things that you were not allowed to talk about were things that everybody agreed you shouldn't talk about. Like you shouldn't say anything that incites violence, you know, or hatred, you know, things like that. But nowadays, it seems like the circle of the things you aren't allowed to say must be getting wider and wider, because ever since 2020, it seems like it just has increased all the reasons, and it's like we get reminded, we get a reminder message from this platform to be sure to edit our video so that it does not get restricted. And that's one of the things that this channel has suffered, is especially since the last couple, 2-3 years, is restriction. But I'm going to get to the whoppers right here and right now. And the first thing is that something has been in the works. Everybody, we've all heard of the bankruptcy of one of the largest decentralized financial institutions, that is to say FTX, the bankruptcy and all of the scandal that came out of it. Well, even a lot of large hedge funds have lost big money, but it doesn't matter how much you lost, you still lost the money, whether it was in the hundreds of millions or just $20,000. You know, they disappeared with everybody's money. Well, what's happening, what's in the background here, is they keep trying to resurrect the company in a Chapter 11. If you don't know, Chapter 11 simply means they're going to reorganize the debts, try to get people paid off, and get the business to be viable once again. It's a big whopper to me, because the idea they're coming out with, and they've talked about this before, where FTX is going to come out with this token. Now remember, the whole thing about why this thing was a big house of cards and it collapsed was because a lot of these places have a token. This sounds so much like Wall Street. It's like it's supposed to be decentralized finance, but they're going to come up with another token. There's another platform that can put out another token where you swap, remember that word? Swap, credit default swap. Where have we heard this from? Came out of Wall Street, where you swap your debt for this token. And then when I mean, it sounds good, right? And how it's being pitched is that, well, you've got nothing to lose, you got nothing already. Yes, you do have something to lose. So they can give you this token, and if it falls flat on its face, you've lost your claim, because you're giving up your claim for the token. That's why it's called a swap. But I'm just thinking, you just want to hand me another worthless token and take away my right to make a claim. That's what that sounds like. You owe the money, just pay it, okay? No fancy paperwork shuffle called a swap just to take away everybody's right to make a claim and poof, make that disappear. That's what it sounds like to me. All right, moving on, next whopper. As you know, the freedom-loving Bolsonaro was toppled. We call that the topple the leader technique, and is why we don't promote trusting in that ideal of because there's a certain leader somewhere, because all they have to do is just topple the leader. Well, in the news, by the way, my content comes from the public domain, so if Google or YouTube doesn't like it, they can put it where, you know, lots of sunshine here today, beautiful ocean, excellent, open, big open spaces. It's just so amazing here with the sound of the ocean in the background. So, like I was saying, Lula, they toppled the leader and put in the puppet dude, a new puppet, and he seeks to build back, where have we heard that? Build back Brazilian industry by mooching up to every communist has to mooch up to China, right? I hate to say it, but hey, is that against the rules? All right.
Here they come. They're coming to get you, Frank.
Good boys, what you gonna do when we come for you? The good boys are coming for you. All right. Question is, who really is the good boys? Which leads me to something that was in the headlines about how Bitcoin is going to destabilize the satanic globalist government. That's what, that was the headline, right? Or something like that, close to it. So have you noticed on, I've been noticing this for a very long time, and I've trained myself to ignore it, but when you're looking at headlines, there is this technique nowadays that, you know, you have this headline that's an article headline. Like, you do a headline and then you click on it, it's an article, and it's like they've got these health headlines now all over the place. They just mix them up in there, and what it seems to me that it seems that it's normalizing the idea that how to take care of your health should come from a link on some platform, or even if it's a popular one. That isn't how that isn't how you get to the truth on anything, let alone health. We've always talked about good health. We've always taken care of our health. We've even written a book on health, and our knowledge of health, we never put ourselves out as someone that knows it all, because we are always learning, we are always improving our knowledge about health. But one thing is for sure, when people look at us and the age that we're at, they realize that we look like people that are in good health. And so when something looks the way it should, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably going to be a duck, you know? And so if somebody looks healthy, except for the endemic thing, you know, then they're probably healthy in most cases, especially over a long period of time, which our channel has been on here for well over 10 years.
We've been on YouTube going on 13 and a half years now.
But I recently saw a video headline which I didn't have a chance to click on this morning that said, oh, I better not say it, I better not say it.
Say it in your own way, hon.
I'll just give you a little peek here. I won't say what I read, but I'll tell you this one. This says, and this goes along with what I just said about the little links and the headlines about health. Alzheimer's disease largely remains a mystery. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How long has this Alzheimer's been around? Largely a mystery. What happened to follow the science? What happened to the all-knowing white coats here? Here in Mexico, the white coats will sell you and tell you that nothing in their store is without sugar in it. Now, we've written books about how poisonous sugar is, and to those that don't know, they laugh at that. We had Ecuadorian neighbors laugh because they eat sugar every day, and you know, they have all of the consequences of eating it, all of the diseases and all of the problems. And
diabetes, obesity, hypertension, emotional upheavals.
And so along the same lines, I see another article that says that Bayer is getting sued, as they should. Class action lawsuit from all of those people that used Roundup and got cancer from it. And this all comes out in the end. It's like it comes out years after people are just using. And I used to buy food from farmers, and the first thing I asked them was, well, what do you spray on it? Do you spray anything on it? And I know that it was getting harder and harder to get food that was totally, you know, unsprayed, and as they say,
well, we were getting organic wheat, and we didn't have any gluten issues whatsoever. None. While the whole gluten thing was going on.
And so Bayer, which was the owner of this, some of these companies, they seem to own a lot. And don't you remember all of the times we were told, weren't we told that these aspirin were like the cure for almost everything? Remember, it's like if you have a headache, take an aspirin. If you have this, take an aspirin. They wanted you hooked on aspirin. And this is coming now.
If you have a bad heart, take an aspirin every morning.
You know, got this.
People still believe that, and they take an aspirin every day.
Yeah, and now it comes out that they have to pay out $10 billion because the people that used one of their, and this is the same company that's being sued over the product that they have been putting out that causes cancer. So would you trust them with that? Would you trust them with that information? Somebody that's being sued for causing cancer to millions of people?
Fool me once.
Tell me in the comments, would you trust them? I hope you didn't trust them. I'm sorry if something bad like that happened to you. We're not trying to make light of that. We're actually, on the contrary, we're bringing forward information to those that maybe were kind of on the fence or just want to maybe just pat each other on the back for already knowing it. So you have to hand it to, and I don't know if it's all of the Republicans or just Ted Cruz. They should all in unison do this, but he renewed his call to abolish the i.r.s. You know, and as the argument goes, you know, because the current administration, you know, said they were only going to go after people making $400K. I don't know why you would single anybody out for any reason. Aren't you supposed to be collecting what the law says anyway?
Exactly.
I mean, it shouldn't really matter how much somebody is making. If it's whatever the law says that you do, the, you know, whatever, that's what you do. But in any case, it seems like they're not doing what they said, because apparently they want to make sure that they collect every last dime from white persons. And apparently people in the service industry, they must not really want to pay this tax, because I know that, well, we used to work in the service industry. I was actually a waiter as a teenager, and yeah, we work hard. We work long hours, and I don't blame them for you know, wanting to pay as little of their labor in taxes, and just the whole idea that a person's labor would be taxed is just Marxist and evil. Anything Marxist seems to be just you know, an oppression on the people, and just completely evil. there doesn't need to be some sort of a populist argument, although it's okay to have a populist argument for abolishing the IRS, just because, hey, they're weaponizing it to go after poor folks or people that are just working too much, and middle class folks that are already being strangled by you know, inflation and then taxes. And you know, this brings up another thing. Now, you know, I like negotiating just like the next guy, okay? Now, most people don't like negotiating, so it's a small segment of the population that actually like negotiating. I've made it a game and I enjoy it. It is uncomfortable at first if you're not used to doing it, but the reason I'm saying that is because when it comes to politics, you have the same thing. You have this thing where everything has to get negotiated between the parties. And this is the game with politics, is that if everything has to get negotiated, the results will always be mediocre, because it's like, you know, two parties always volleying and keeping things in the center. But what business does good have dancing with the devil on a pale moonlight? I mean, so thanks for coming to the video. Let us know in the comments your thoughts. Have a wonderful day.